Good afternoon, everybody. If I could have your attention quickly on this stage. Good afternoon. My name is Amy Finley. I'm the Dean of Students. And this afternoon, for the next 45 minutes, you'll have an opportunity to hear from our candidates for Student Government President and Vice President. So you have the opportunity to ask them any questions you may have about issues that are important to them and hear what they have to say. I hope you'll take a listen. I hope if you have questions, you will raise your hand and let us know so that we can capture your questions and make sure we get you an answer. I'm going to turn it over now to Julie Colback, one of my good colleagues from the Office of Student Life.
So thank you, Dean Finley. If you all want to ask questions like Dean Finley mentioned, please feel free to raise your hand. We do have masks for the first, very new, fresh out of the box today. Tyler has them over there. We're very stoked about them. So my name is Julie Colback. I'm the coordinator of student engagement in the Office of Student Life, but I'm also serving as the elections officer for this student government election. So we're just going to jump right in. I'll let the candidates introduce themselves just to get a little bit of a background, and then we'll start with some prepared questions, and then we'll open it up to you.
Thanks, Julie. Hi, everybody. My name is Ezra Hopi. I'm running for Student Government President for the next academic year. I've been in student government for two years, I believe, something like that. And it's been a great time. So I'm running to work on, leadership activities, reaching out to other orgs, working with the community, all sorts of things like that. But I don't want to take time away from my wonderful vice president's candidate, Dorina.
Hi everyone, my name is Dorina. I'm running for vice president for the next presidency, and I have been the director of inclusion for the past 2 years. So that's a little about me. Thank you.
Cool, so we'll just start off with some really basic questions. So I'm curious, right, why both of you chose to run?
So one of the reasons why I wanted to run was to make a difference on campus. And I know everybody always says that, but one of the biggest things that I have done through my position is hosting a ton of events to make students feel more inclusive. Just yesterday, we had an event with GSO and SASA where we had cultural food, we had dancing, and today we actually have a French night. I've hosted Inclusion Week 3 or 4 times now, which just gives me a little insight of what our school has within diversity. So I really want to help show our campus and all the students that are a part of it.
And I'm running for student government president. One of the things that motivated me to run is I like student life a lot. I like helping out people. I like seeing people grow into the leaders that I know they can become. I do some work with the athletic department right now in student government. I like the idea of bringing a community together and making people aware of what's available for them to give them the best experience possible as their time in U of M Dearborn.
Thank you. So it sounds like both of you, right, have been on student government for a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with student government, what you feel like has gone well, what you feel like are some areas?
In terms of what's gone well at student government, especially over the last year, it's been a lot, and a lot of credit goes to, President Fakuri, Ramsey. He's done a lot of work. But no, there's been a lot that's gone well. We have grown over, I think, 100% in terms of membership. We have doubled and then some, which is really cool. Just in terms of all the activities we've done, a lot of credit goes to Dorina in terms of inclusion and just reaching out to more orgs. And I don't want to take time away from that, so I'll let her elaborate on that as well.
So some of the main points that I want to elaborate on are the self-defense classes that we had. We've built relations with campus police. We've done a lot of things for the school that have increased diversity and inclusion by hosting these events and doing multiple things with our campus police, with our students. We've had orgs reach out more with events and wanting to be a part of student government, which feels amazing to have them reach out and have their voices heard as well.
school. So I know for some people, right, they don't know much about student government, they don't know what y'all do. So can you talk a little bit about what you feel like the purpose of student government is, and what do you think the role for SG is for the student body?
So the role that I think student government has is a voice for everybody. We have plenty of students who feel like they're not heard on campus. That's what each of our e-board positions, our senator positions are here for. We hear the students' complaints and we make a difference. We had students come up to us, join our meetings, talk to us. We've joined their meetings, events. We try to hear their voices and make a difference of what they think needs to be changed.
And just to add on to that, I think student government is also here in terms of, you know, developing your leadership skills, your professional development skills. Student government really teaches you to see many different perspectives. It just allows you to learn to empathize better in terms of how you relate to somebody else, seeing other viewpoints. So I'd say student government also is really key to helping you grow into the leader that you can be.
Thank you. I know you said, right, that membership is up, right, you're getting a lot more people involved. So how do you plan to draw more attention to the student body and respond to the requests and needs of the students?
So I know a lot of students are pre-med, pre-dental, pre-law, pre-whatever, but a lot of us are here to pave our future. So one of the things that I do want to start off with, a few students have talked to me about, was set up more events that help with pre-med, pre-dental, whatever you're into to help with the next step. Some of the things that we've had to help students with that is reach out communities, events such as helping with the Autism Center. We have had a lot of events where we reach out, help the community, and students can learn from that and use it for their future references on how to make Dearborn a better place.
And one thing that I would be committed to, you know, if we were to be your president, vice president, is reaching out to other student orgs across campus. We've had some great collaborations with the Criminal Justice Collective, and you know, we would be committed to community outreach as well. We're lucky enough to be in a really great city that is Dearborn. So I would be committed to looking in ways that we can kind of immerse our students in the community right around them, to take advantage of the great place that we have.
Great, so I'm curious, right, what are your top 3 priorities coming into office next year?
I guess these are shared, but I'll go on my big 3 things that would be my top priorities. One would be seeing this writing assistant support tool, if you're aware of it, being, you know, given for students in the fall. Another priority of mine would be to finish the work that I've done as director of athletics. The working title is Wolverine Tag, so it's all about participation, building your involvement, getting the most that you can out of campus. So I would also be committed to that as my second priority. And my third priority would be getting in touch with businesses over the summer that used to participate in the Dearborn student discount, where you could get anywhere from 10 to 20% off at certain restaurants. That also ties in with just a great way to get involved with the city around you. So those would be my top 3 priorities personally. And if you have any other stories that you want to share.
I have a few. So one of the main things is reaching out to our communities, helping them out, knowing that we are one community that helps one another. And another thing is getting events more participation with events. That's probably one of our big things. We have a huge turnout. One of our main events that we had was the Union Block Party, where we had over 1,000 students come. That was huge. So more events like that would be amazing.
Cool. Awesome for questions, and I'll open it up to y'all. I've got some more questions to prepare. So what do you feel like the first 60 days in office will look like?
So part of the first 60 days in office would be getting in touch with these businesses. We found a list of the businesses that used to kind of partner with us on the Dearborn discount. So one big task would be, look, we want to get that back to make things more affordable for students. Food is important to success. Another thing we'd focus on is we'd sit down once an executive board is selected and kind of say, look, this is this is what we'd like to do. These are the tasks we'd like to complete. This is kind of what we're aiming for to make an impact in our community.
So I really want to make an impact in Fairlane's campus. I know that there hasn't been a lot of activity there. So one of the big things I would like to do is show some activity within there, whether that's hosting more events there, whether that's getting food on campus over there. But that's probably one of the big things I want to do in the first 6 days.
Great. Do any of y'all have questions? As a reminder, there are free masks for the first 20 people who ask questions. Seems like Cody should have a question, and we also
My question regards the referendum at this election cycle. When the six words student body and for
great question. Referendum. What are your thoughts, Junior?
Yes. So I'll start for an answer for you, Cody. So I think what that demonstrated, at least in the talks that Doreen and I have had about it, is right there what student government is about. You know, embracing different perspectives, bringing a group of people together who maybe didn't agree on all of the policies within it, but the fact that it made it on the ballot, that's pretty huge. You know, I think it was 100 pages that we whittled down to about 30, and we worked with a group of I think 5 or 6 students, and that's pretty impressive to have students coming from all different viewpoints and making an impact on that and getting it on the ballot in time.
So we did have a few issues where there was disagreements, but we always came back to a new situation where we composed a new rule. We always found a middle where every student felt like their voice was heard when there was an issue regarding the governing document. We always kept the DEI perspective on each situation, which helped improve the governing document as well. And I feel like the work that we put in, the plenty of hours that we all have put into it, was just amazing. And I'm excited that we did get it on the ballot in time. Thank you.
Yes, and for those of you who have not seen it, it is on the student government website, so feel free to go check it out before the election opens, so that you can know a little bit more about what it is. Other questions? Oh, yeah.
this one also has a red answer. Hello, everyone. My name is Randy Corey. I am a grad student of business. My question for you would be, how do you see yourself bridging the gap between main campus and Fairlane, representing the needs of Black business students, and then also, what is your goal to reach out with non-traditional students that typically take evening classes or remote classes?
Great questions, right? Thinking about non-traditional students and bridging dual campuses.
So as many of us know, there isn't any food on campus besides the vending machines in Fairlane. So I feel like one of the things we could do to accommodate for those students is to have food on campus. Provide more safety there, whether that's more security for students to feel more safe on campus, have more events there as well. We can get organizations to start hosting their events there. We can help with that as well. That's all I have to say as well.
Yeah, just to add on to that is obviously it's hard. You know, I'm a chess student, so sometimes when I had a semester only in Fairlane, you know, it would be tough because I felt so disconnected from main campus. One thing that I would want to look into, you know, I don't know how realistic this is, but can we potentially have some resource loans like the library does, but over at Fairlane, where you can get a computer charger, you can get a calculator. I know business is all about math. I'm not good at it, but I know it's about math. And so if you have some resources over there, you have organizations out there that can potentially have events there, just to make people more aware, I think that would make people, you know, maybe want to go hang out at Fairlane more, because I know in my experience, it's a great place.
Thank you.
Did you have any like to talk about community of non-traditional students potentially aren't at Fairlane, but might still be on main campus or within the classes?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one thing we can do is potentially take a lead out of the campus involvement hub where we start teaming up with them to program, when we're meeting non-traditional students, we can kind of find out with the involvement hub what their needs are. Maybe it's a late night at the UC like they've started to implement. So I think there's a lot of ways in which we can open dialogue with other offices on campus to find our best way of serving non-traditional students.
Thank you.
Great, who else has questions?
Don't forget the free mask.
You do get a free mask. We only have 2 that have been gone, so there are 18 left.
So I don't think this question is. So over the last couple of years, government leaders have really hard to build positive relationship with diversity students. What would you do to grow
Relationships.
So I think positive relationships with administration is huge because ultimately they're doing us a courtesy by listening to us and what our ideas. So the biggest thing for me would be going in with an open mind and open ears, recognizing that I don't know everything. I don't have the solutions to everything. So I think, as I said, the best thing would be sitting back and being able to listen, having an understanding of, okay, your idea here is great, but is it realistic? So for me, it would be all about having an open mind, recognizing that I may need to make adjustments in my leadership. And I think that would, contribute to continued positive relationships with administration.
I agree with Ezra. I would say the same, whether that's listening to their concerns, seeing what they want us to do, what we think we can find a middle to agree on. But yeah.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Free masks available. So what are some contemporary issues within the young Dearborn student body that you feel need to be addressed?
So a few concerns that I've heard, we're having a place open longer for students to study, whether if we could have the library open later, if we could have study rooms rented out to a certain time, whether that's overnight, especially during exams. And then a few other concerns is more inclusive events. If we could have more of that, I know that the school spirit over here needs a little bit more of improvement, and that's what we're trying to do with more events, reaching out to more organizations, and that's what we plan to do.
Yeah, I would say all about building bridges, as Dorina said. It's all about building bridges and trying to build more, student school spirit and stuff like that.
Great, for those of you who might just be joining us, these are the candidates for student government, the president and vice president will be running on this ballot. If you have questions, feel free to raise your hand. We are taking open questions and there are masks for people.
Cool.
They look very nice. Other questions? Anybody have? Happy to run. Oh, yes.
Why did you choose Glen Dearborn as a student first? And then I think you already answered why you wanted to student government. Why you want to?
Great question.
So I'm a firstborn generation student. So when I first came to U of M Dearborn, I felt like I was at home. When I first came, my mom automatically started talking to someone in Arabic, which just made her feel more safe here, where I was going to be her first daughter to ever attend college. So I feel like everybody here, I think we have 46% of students who are firstborn generation. So it just felt like home. I came into student government because I wanted to make a change on campus. I wanted students' voices to be heard. And I feel like being from a first out of American generation to be in college really helped that.
Yeah, I would say that I chose U of M Dearborn. I toured various colleges, some of them much larger than Dearborn. But during my tour, it was pretty amazing that, a group of 12 people came together, and I'm really happy that I chose here. I walk to a class every day and I see someone that I know. And even if I don't know them, if I say hello to them, they say hello right back with the biggest smile on their face. So I think what I found here is that Dearborn is such a close-knit family. People enjoy being around with people. You have a great relationship with your professors, with other students. And I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. I would never want to transfer anywhere else. I would never think, man, I should have done something different. And in terms of joining student government, when I joined, I was a write-in candidate. I wasn't on the ballot. I didn't choose to run. I had no idea what to expect. And student government, I found the same thing. That's a very tight-knit family full of people who come from so many different backgrounds, but we all work together as one family. People check up on each other. They take care of each other, which I think is, again, something that the U of M Dearborn community fosters as a whole. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
So, right, we've had experienced a lot of change, especially in the last 2 years, or the pandemic, and things like that. So where do you see U of Dearborn in 10 years? And how do you see the role of student government growing and developing?
So in the next 10 years, where I see student government is really just continuing the positive impact that it has on U of M Dearborn. I don't anticipate student government ever not fighting, for the student voice to be heard, making the student experience better. I honestly, in the growth that we've had over this year, I only see student government, becoming even bigger of an impact on campus. And what was the second part of your question, Julie? I'm sorry.
Well, it's sort of combined, right?
Okay.
Where do you see it, and what is the role of student government in, like, helping?
Okay. And to answer the second half of that is just, I see student government, continuing to help, continuing to build that mission of advocating for the student voice to be heard.
So I see our campus in 10 years definitely reaching out to local businesses, local restaurants, getting those voices out heard, and making our campus more inclusive, not only our campus, but as well as Dearborn in general. So I've been in student government for about 2 years now. I've been the director of inclusion. I actually remember hosting an event. You were there a couple of days ago, so it was great seeing you here again. So yeah, I do have a lot of experience in student government. I've reached out to a lot of organizations, such as the organizations that you're in. So that's my experience in student government.
Yeah, I would say my experience in student government, I think I've been a part of this for about 2 years, maybe a little over. As I said before, I was a write-in candidate. I didn't know what to expect, but I've been able to do a lot of work with the athletic department in terms of, this is how we can better connect our athletes to campus. This is how we can better make the resources that the athletic department has over at the field house, bringing them together. And I think over these 2 years, I remember when student government was, I think, a total of like 10, 12 senators, and to see it grow into what it has now has been pretty crazy. It has evolved into something really great over the pandemic. And I think over the 2 years that I've been, student government has only become, more positive. And I think we're on the right track for sure.
Nate, do you have a question?
Not yet.
All right, not yet. Yes, another question for Brandon.
Yes, sorry. For anybody who was not here in UC, can you let them know one more time how student government advocates for students, and that does it have to be an academic concern, or could it be any concern for a student?
So we're here to hear the voices on campus. It doesn't only have to be an academic concern. We have e-board that reaches out. We have different types of committees. We have environmental, we have inclusion. So it doesn't matter what the concerns may be. Whatever they are, we're here to hear you. Even if it's just to sit down and vent, we're here to help you. So that's what student government is.
Yeah, I would say along those lines, student government is all about whatever a student is passionate about. We're gonna do our best to help you, within reason and making sure that we don't destroy positive relationships that we have. But we're all about, working with clubs and organizations to, find a way, what can we help to do, make your student experience the best it can be. We're all about that.
A follow-up right sort of to that is how can students hold you and other student government members accountable for your actions in office?
So one way that, I see us being held accountable, eventually we have an executive board and other Senate members, is in terms of just the way that the new governing documents are that are on as a referendum on the ballot. There's a lot more built in terms of, you need to be, present for attendance, coming to the meetings, doing activities. But I think personally, the best way that you all can hold us accountable, as well as the plans that we have, is we're going to aim, these are the 2 projects that we want to get done throughout the semester, or this is the group award we're aspiring to get for the semester, or this is how, there's a lot of fail safes, what I'm saying, built into making sure that we hold each other accountable. Doreen, if you have anything to add.
All I would say is helping delegate certain things. That helps a lot. I know it's a lot on one person. It's not fair to tell them that they did this wrong, but only to help them prosper with their new events, new projects as well. So, yeah.
Well, for those of you who just joined, these are student government candidates that we have ballot next week. If you have questions, you're welcome to ask them. We do have free asking available. So feel free to raise your hand if you. Otherwise. All right.
Hi. What's one something you made up? I'm really that trend was in my
So like we touched upon a little earlier, the governing documents was a huge issue where a lot of students didn't agree with certain things. We had a task force, we understood the concerns. We delegated them, we broke them down, we came to a conclusion, and we went from there where everybody was happy. Nobody's ever gonna agree with everyone. So just getting to that middle is what we tried to get, and we did it.
I would say too, making sure that everyone's heard. I think a commitment to fairness, so as some of you might be familiar with, we have, the interview process for, certain positions, or we have where if someone's running for something, they have to explain why they'd be fit. So I think there's a lot of it too, that in those discussions, we have a little bit of, okay, this is where this person sees things from. This is how, I can empathize with their experience and so forth.
So what do you as a leader bring to this position that will help promote growth in the students around you?
So like I mentioned before, I am a firstborn out of American to ever attend college. So I do want to help students who are transferring from high school to college, if they're a transfer student, with the whole process, because I know it's difficult. So that's one of the main things that I understand from our students' perspective that I want to bring upon our next presidency if we do get elected. I know we have hosted some events that have helped students understand the paperwork, where to get a job, how to get a job. So that stuff helps a lot. I do want to stand on that within our next elections.
And Julie, could you repeat that question again? I'm sorry.
Yes. What do you as a leader bring to this position that will help promote growth in the students?
So I think one way that I can personally help promote, students' growth and their leadership is all about professional development. So one of the ideas that I want to bring to the table if I were elected would be monthly professional development speakers. So someone comes in and basically they're telling you, these are the habits that I developed as a as an undergrad student or a graduate student, this is how they transferred into my professional career. Basically a way to give tips. And I think too, one thing that I personally really value is if you start something, see it 100% of the way through, right? So I think, with that approach, people will find that they'll be able to be the best leaders that they can be and grow into whatever role they want to take on.
Any other question? All right.
Thinking stuff.
Satellites.
Yeah, there. Can you talk about time? I should the president. I guess probably a Wolverine.
Well, to give you a short answer, Nate, absolutely. And I'm proud to be a Dearborn Wolverine at that.
I agree. I'm proud to be a Wolverine, and I hope everybody else here is as well.
So as you voice.
Wait, what was that?
I still didn't hear.
Wait, what
Are
did
there more wheels or doors?
More what?
More wheels or doors?
Wheels or doors? I think there's more wheels in this world.
I was gonna say doors.
You think doors?
I think doors.
Yeah,
I think doors.
I say wheels. Oh, oh, it's wheels?
Is it? Oh, I was wrong. Yeah, I don't know what we're referencing right now.
Okay, what experiences have prepared you for the role of president and vice president, and how will those experiences impact your leadership?
So I would say that everything I've done in city government has kind of prepared. I think everyone would find that whatever you're doing in city government, it's developing you in some way professionally. I would say that the biggest thing that's prepared me, for the role of presidency, if I were to be elected, would be my role as director of athletics over the past year. I've been lucky enough to, continue to forge some great relationships that I've had since freshman year with athletic administration, in terms of meeting with our athletic director monthly, meeting with our facilities and events manager, on a bi-weekly basis, and really getting an idea of, okay, this is how one facet of our campus runs and does their operation in terms of, this is what's realistic for them in terms of finances, this is what's realistic in terms for, the student body. So I would say that athletics is something that has definitely prepared me for the role as president.
So what has prepared me potentially for my vice president role would be working with the vice president and president currently with events, helping them secure rooms, helping them with any possible situations that they may have. Even if that's the faculty dinner that we're having, I've reached out with our vice president on that. My position as of now as the director of inclusion has also helped. I've joined multiple committee meetings with appropriations, with inclusion to help that as well. So just going out of my way to reach out more within student government has helped me.
All right. I love it.
Okay, so, and then. This is a document for state funding to state universities. My question is also how do you all see this statewide public university system? You have persons with the United States Conference,
course we do. Okay. A little.
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah.
So great question, Cody. You know, obviously it's a little hard to say as we're not in these roles yet, but I would say that it's going to be important to not only recognize our place in that, but also, you know, how administration sees us fitting into that. I wouldn't want to make a rash judgment on that without having had those talks first. So I hope that kind of answers your question. Oh, Julie. I was pointing out James.
Why is this university and the best university?
Yes.
I think that this university is the best university because we have a little mixing pot, a melting pot within our university. We have a little of everything. We have accommodated to that as well. You come to our university and you see so many different things, so many people from different places that just opens your eyes, which is amazing. I feel like that's what makes our campus different compared to other campuses.
So I would say, I'm going to cite a fact when I was an orientation lead. I might get this wrong though, but I know the professor to student ratio is like pretty much the smallest it can get. So I would say that what makes this university, you know, one of the best, if not the best ever, is that you really get to have a relationship with not only your classmates, but your professors. You're more than just a number in the class. You're more than just a body out there in the auditorium. One of the other things that I think makes this university so great is that, as I alluded to before, is that I could go walking down any hallway and see anybody, and usually I know them, and if not, they still say hello. Everyone here is, you know, so friendly. I would say those are two of my reasons why I'd say this is probably one of the best universities, you know, in the country.
To conclude, we're a family.
For example, like there are a lot of things that we do it on scholarships around where we go to basic scholarships and something, where we do it in around the world. So there are very small things that we have in mind, but there is no representation of government that is from the so why do we want something like that or something those lines?
Like how international students.
Okay. Okay. So that's a great question. If I understood correctly, it's about international student representation in within student government and how we can better serve them. Okay. So I know that there has been some work, if you're familiar with Senator Mandava. They've been doing some initiatives on, you know, helping international students, making school, you know, more accessible in terms of that. I think a big thing that we could do potentially is working with the Office for, can't remember the name. I know it's the Office for International Affairs, perhaps. It's over in the Union. Potentially that's something that, you know, we can reach out on. I think too, you know, in terms of working with Office of Student Life to potentially find ways that, you know, we can connect with international students in partnership with them to perhaps make international students aware of, okay, this is an opportunity here in student government for me. And I hope that answers your question at least a little bit.
So I'm not sure if you're aware, but we do have a few students in student government who are international students, and we love them so much. They're amazing. They actually, like he said, Senator Manava has had some workshops to help students, international students to be specific, help with the transfer, help with the paperwork, help with how to work computers and like the stuff within the websites and, you know, to get through that. So I feel like having more workshops like that would be amazing. Having that a little bit more voice. I'm not sure if you're aware about those workshops, but they helped a lot. So if we could have a few more of those workshops, that would be amazing to help students. Yeah, I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
Right, great. And our last question, and we're wrapping up.
Last question. Seeing that we're trying to build a legacy of excellence, what would you want your term as potential president, vice president to be known by? What's the type of legacy that you want to leave or you want us to leave?
Excellent last question.
So that is a great question. I was looking at that when I was sitting here. I've never noticed that phrase before. So I think if it were one thing that I could leave up to for being remembered, as potentially a student government president and a vice president, mine would be, the outreach in both the campus community and our community at large within Dearborn, making an impact beyond just our students, giving back to where we go to school, whether it's, potentially working in a food bank for a day that's in Dearborn or working with charities or something like that. I think if there would be one thing that I would want the year to be remembered by, if I were elected, would be the impact that we've made, not only here at home, but abroad in our larger Dearborn community.
So one of the things that I want us to be known for is building gaps or bridging the gaps, I would say, between the organizations and making them feel more welcome to reach out if they have concerns, to know that their voices are heard and they're not scared to reach out, they're not scared to be judged, because we're here for them.
Awesome, thank you. So thank you all for your participation. Thank you, both of you for being here. Right, it's good to have a platform to talk about. Student government elections will be taking place next week on March 30th and 31st. We also get email. It takes place on next Thursday, so make sure to vote. If you have questions about the referendum, it's the student government website. You can look at that. Forms, how to vote for you next week. All right, thank you all for coming.